so we're going to get into biggest disappointments. So I'm going to go ahead, go first here. For me, my first big disappointment is Coming to America. This is the sequel, not to Coming to America. To this is number two in this one. And I think this was kind of has the same very daunting task that something like A Quiet Place 2 does, where it's a sequel to usually comedy sequels, very rare examples of good comedy sequels. And what kind of was giving me a little bit of hope was like, well, Eddie Murphy seemed to be back. He seemed to be a little bit on a streak. Dolomite Is My Name, which was very good. He was working with the same guy there that he was working with here as well with Coming to America. And also it was like, hey, Bad Boys for Life. That turned out to be really good. And that was like a decades kind of plus sequel there that they did for that. Which was the third Bad Boys movie. That turned out really, really well. Even though I was talking with somebody and talking about Bad Boys for Life, and they were like, yeah, man, if you actually go back and watch that movie again, it's not that good. Like, go back and watch it again. So I don't know. I was like, maybe, but...
Wait, Bad Boys for Life?
Yeah, they were saying, like, because they were like, yeah, I watched it first.
Get fucked. That movie's still awesome.
They were like, yeah, I watched it at first, and it was cool, but then I watched it again, it wasn't that good. I was like, I don't know, because I've only seen it once, really enjoyed it, but yeah, I was like, oh, maybe I should go back. But as of right now, yeah, I thought I was like, well, that was really good. Maybe this can be really good too, and it just isn't. It's not as, it's hard because the first Coming to America was such a classic film. I mean, it's one of the best comedies ever. Eddie Murphy at his peak, at his prime. I think the biggest thing with this sequel is it's just too much going on. Too many new characters added. You don't really service them all that well. Trying to bring in his son, but then you also got his daughters. The wife doesn't really get anything to do. It's just a lot of things to really kind of service, and then you got to throw in tributes to the first one as well, and I don't think those really work all that much. And it's just a lot kind of going on, and it's on Amazon Prime if people want to check it out. And yeah, it just kind of just doesn't really work. And kind of a big disappointment for me to see it. And it just feels like a lot of ideas, none of which really kind of worked out in the movie. I think there was some good kind of stuff there with the whole kind of daughters and everything, but it just doesn't really work in the movie. It doesn't gel out so well. What about you, man?
Probably one of my biggest disappointments is Cherry. This first film by post Avengers Endgame, starring Tom Holland about this Iraq War veteran dealing with PTSD and drug addiction. It ends up being a movie that is too long. It's a very weird movie. It almost has too much to say, but it doesn't know how to say any of it.
Okay.
It kind of ends up being a film that has nothing to say, and it says that nothing badly. It's taking this very grounded book by this gentleman by the name of Nico Walker about his experience coming home from the Iraq War. And the thing about that book, it's very grounded, it's very matter of fact, and they choose to treat it almost like a Looney Tunes cartoon, like Train Spotting or Fight Club to an extent, which doesn't really work.
Yeah, I didn't see Cherry. It's on Apple TV, Apple Plus, and I saw it on a lot of people's worst of list. This movie, and I think it had a lot going against it because to a degree, because like Tom Holland, him doing Spider-Man, and it's like, okay, can he be a more of a legitimate actor in some people's eyes?
And it's not on him. I think he's giving a good performance, as is Ciara Renee, I think, is his co-lead in that. The girl who plays his girlfriend in that, I think she's really good in the film. Oh, Ciara Bravo is the actress name. I think they're both excellent in the film. I just think the film around them kind of lets them down.
Ciara Bravo, wow, that's perfect for a military movie. Yeah, that's a perfect name for a military movie right there. And also it's like, hey, this is directed by the Russos, and a lot of people, it's like, hey, you directed these Marvel movies and people only like you for these Marvel movies. Can you actually direct a quote unquote, legitimate film and everything like that? can you direct a grown up movie? And I think a lot of people were just waiting for them to fail and waiting for them to kind of mess up and do a film that wasn't as good as maybe their other stuff. But yeah, I haven't seen it for myself. Haven't checked it out. And I'm not saying that the only reason people dislike this movie is because of things I mentioned. I'm just mentioning that there was some kind of things against it there. But yeah, yeah, I do see a lot of people kind of having a cherry on a lot of kind of worst of lists and not really liking it. So I haven't checked it out for myself. All right, so a big disappointment for me. Next up for me is Halloween Kills. Same thing, right? I was kind of excited because I'm like, hey, well, Quiet Place Part 2 did a really great job. Halloween Kills, I thought the first movie was fantastic. It was one of the better movies of the year, I thought, when it came out. And I was really prepared for this one, and this one just completely falls on its face. It was trying to, I think, trying to do what the first one did, what was kind of tell this story about Lori and her PTSD, and trying to really expand that more out to the community of Haddonfield and doing this gang violence, mob violence type situation, which was led by Anthony Michael Hall, who's playing Tommy from the original movie. And it just doesn't work at all. I mean, some of the citizens make just the stupidest decisions in the movie. And they constantly
they've been following that fucking what's that like self-defense guru on fucking TikTok, the Detroit Urban Survival Training.
Oh, that dude.
They're following that motherfucker too much.
Yeah. And this is like Jamie Lee Curtis is the key to the series. They had her prominent. That was kind of the whole thing with her coming back after so many years to it, and she knocks it out of the park. And she's barely even in this sequel. She's she's only in the hospital's bed most of the movie, only in the hospital. She's barely even in the
She was just thinking, hell yeah, check.
Yeah, I mean, it just kind of was just like, wow. I mean, that was just really disappointing. Michael Myers does fuck some people up though, for sure. And if you just want to see some
that's the best part about the movie. It is the kills, which are some of the most inventive and brutal of the Halloween franchise.
Yeah, I mean, he does. I mean, he does fuck a lot of people up, and he does. So if you just want to see some quick kills, but you could just watch that on YouTube. You don't really have to watch the whole movie now.
Yeah.
It's probably on YouTube. You can probably watch it now, or you can just watch a compilation of somebody clip to get all the best kills of the movie. Because I don't think you have to probably see it, but yeah, I mean, that's kind of the only reason to kind of go see this movie. And then them trying to do that stupid chant or trying to make that like it was like gonna be a big thing. Like
trying to cancel Michael Myers.
Yeah, evil dies tonight. Like you're trying to make that a big thing, like something. It's like, bro, that's that's not gonna happen, bro. Like Regina George, like that's not gonna happen. Like
stop trying to make fetch happen.
Yeah, it's not happening, bro. What about you, man?
Probably I was really sad. Probably one of my most disappointing movies was Mortal Kombat, a film that I was really excited for. It had a cast, all of whom are very proficient at stunt work, and the cinematography just lets them down. It shoots everything so close, you can't really see what's going on, in spite of the fact that you have actors like Louis Tan, like Joe Taslim, like Ludi Lin, like Max Wong, all of whom have long careers in the stunt industry, long careers of doing action scenes and fight scenes and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Also, Mortal Kombat movie where you don't even have the...
Yeah, you don't even have the tournament. Yeah, you don't even have the big tournament here.
It's like a cheeseburger without the patty.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of... I mean, I think... I did like Detective Pikachu. I mean, I would say good video game movies. I did like Detective Pikachu. I did think the Sonic movie was good.
The Sonic movie's good. Detective Pikachu, all right. Even Werewolves Within is technically a video game movie.
Oh, okay. So that was really good for you. So, yeah, this one you had some of the elements that could have been really great. It misses the ball on that. You have a really boring new character in this Cole Young character that they invented for the movie.
Who is confirmed that was a studio call.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it should have just been Johnny Cage, who's usually the introductory character, the POV character that we all, have to go and introduce us to the whole tournament aspect. They do this thing, the Arcana or something, or
which is just how they explain why Liu Kang can shoot fire.
Yeah, why certain people have special abilities, special powers. That was, I get what you're trying to do, trying to explain why can Kung Lao, like why can he throw his hat and disappear and do all this other stuff, but maybe there was just a better way to do it, and then it was stupid. Like Jax, his whole arcana was like him growing arms.
It's like the metal arms, which would that have even worked if he didn't lose his arms?
Yeah, what would happen if he didn't ever lose his arms and everything like that? So that was weird. And yeah, I think there could have been, some good elements to make this a cool Mortal Kombat movie. Just it's also nonsense. A lot of stuff like why does Scorpion just all of a sudden come back? That doesn't make sense. The best part of this movie is just the opening. It's just the first 10 minutes of this movie is the best part of this.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'd say the best part, it is the opening and that one-on-one scene between Scorpion and Sub-Zero at the end. That is probably the best action scene in the entire film.
Yeah, yeah. So the cartoon does a better job at explaining Mortal Kombat than the actual movie does.
Yeah, Scorpion's Revenge is the best, and it's not even close.
Yeah. All right. So moving to my next biggest disappointment here. For me, it is The Little Things, which is the movie that got released on HBO Max, starring Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, Jared Leto. Yeah, this had all the elements, being something really great. You had three great actors. It could have been this really nice Seven kind of S type story here, but it just falls flat. Doesn't really work. Kind of the ending really doesn't make a lot of sense just in terms of the plan that they come together with. Doesn't really kind of hold up. Him and Rami Malek. And Rami Malek in this movie, I don't think works all that much because he's supposed to be.
Yeah, he is grossly miscast. I was like, you're supposed to believe that he's like shot young, rash detective, and he like can't even pull his eyes to focus on Denzel Washington.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't think he really works. I did like Jared Leto in this movie. I thought he was pretty solid. I thought he did a kind of good job.
Then again, Jared Leto wasn't acting.
True, you know what I mean. That's just Jared Leto normally how he is in his cult, and
he wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. He just like wandered on set, and they just said action.
I thought he worked. You know what I mean. I thought he did a good job for what he was given. Elevated some of this movie, made it somewhat interesting. What about you?
Probably my biggest disappointment because it wasn't nearly as shitty as I thought it was going to be. Clifford the Big Red Dog.
That's your biggest
disappointment. I was expecting a movie that was going to be like a train wreck, something that I could at least have fun talking shit about, and the movie is just mid.
Yeah. so you're
like nothing in it is good, but nothing in it is terrible either. And I was bored. I was expecting something like Cats.
So you blaming the movie for actually trying to, and then being halfway decent?
Hey, if you're not gonna be good, be fucking terrible. I'd rather you be terrible and entertaining than just boring and mediocre.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I expected something worse, maybe, but it just was, yeah, like you said, just kind of there, just kind of just like, oh, okay, whatever. It's not the worst thing you'll ever see. It's like,
yeah, you could be terrible. You can be the worst thing I've ever seen. Don't bore me.
Yeah. For me, my next disappointment is The House of Gucci. Yeah, I was really excited for this movie. All-star cast here. This is also directed by Ridley Scott. It's his second movie of the year.
Yes, the film that Jared Leto single-handedly Americans back 100 years.
Yeah, a lot of anti-Italian discrimination going on here.
It's me. It's Gucci.
Yeah, I wonder.
Gonna cry.
I wonder if this movie's gonna get nominated for Best Picture. I wonder if it is.
Oh my fucking. Honestly, they gave Bohemian Rhapsody a Best Picture. I wouldn't put it past the Academy.
Yeah, that is true. I wouldn't be that surprised if they did do it. But if you're gonna watch this movie for any reason, it's Lady Gaga. I think Lady Gaga is good in it. Everything else not so good. Well, actually, the costume design I think is good. I think it might get nominated for costume design too, or set design. Those also work really well too. Those are also very good. But if you are going to see it for any reason, it is Lady Gaga. I think she does a very, very good job. Looks a lot like the character she's playing. She sounds a lot like her. I think she nails her down pretty good. Well, pause maybe. But yeah, I think if you are going to see it, it's for her. Yeah, like Jared Leto, I don't know what the fuck he was doing. I don't know what direction he was given.
Hey, he was snorting arrabbiata. He was snorting the arrabbiata.
Yeah, he
Care
said.
that girl.
Yes, he said he was snorting pasta, shooting noodles into his veins, and all this other shit. It's like, okay. But
The entire
yeah.
time, shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and then everybody's doing their own accent. This person doing this accent.
It's like, shut up, Jared Leto. Go release another tomorrow.
Yeah, and yeah, so Jeremy Irons, he's just Jeremy Irons. He's not even he's just not even really trying to do an accent. And then somebody asked him about like Ridley Scott. Somebody asked him about it, and they were like, "Yeah, I mean, whatever. Who gives a fuck? I mean, who cares? And I know the family. They had a big issue with the movie as well. The Gucci family. Yeah. I see it on some people's best of lists. I see some people's worst of list. It's like one of those type of movies.
I mean, I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm probably gonna just watch it purely as a comedy, and I hear that's kind of the way to watch it. Watch House of Gucci.
Yeah, I mean that's probably apt. It's just kind of watch it like that. Yeah, I was kind of like, what the hell? And then if you know the real story of what happened and everything like that, like that's dealt with like the last 10 minutes of the movie. Like okay, and then it shuts off. I'm like, what the hell? Like, like this is kind of the most exciting part here is when you wanted to get to, and then you just shut the movie off in the last 10 minutes. Like okay, what about you, man?
That's kind of all I got for like biggest appointments without going into my.
Okay. Next, my other kind of big disappointment here is Wonder Woman 84. I forgot this movie even came
Dude,
out this year.
it didn't. It came out 2020.
It came out 2020?
Yeah, it came out like Christmas 2020.
Oh, that's why. Okay, that's why I thought it came out this year. Okay, so it came out at Christmas 2020. Okay, so yeah, so it's not good for this year. Okay, good because I was going
So yes, but in all seriousness, fuck Wonder Woman 84.
yeah, yeah, because I was like, oh, okay. I was like, yeah, I forgot this movie came out this year because I saw it on some of like I was like, oh, yeah, maybe I forgot this movie, but okay, Christmas 24 it came, 2020 it came out. Okay, yeah. All right, so we're gonna be moving into our worst of list here. You want to go first?
Okay, so I'm gonna go from five worst film. My fifth worst film of the year. It's Cry Monster, a film directed by the, I guess, shambling corpse of Clint Eastwood, about this cowboy rancher who's like going down to Mexico to find this the estranged son of a guy he owes a favor to, and this is a film without conflict. It's like every single potential hurdle that could come to getting this kid home. It's like he gets out of it just by being Clint Eastwood. And it's like a movie that's pushing 2 hours, and I couldn't tell you what the fuck happened in it at all.
Yeah. Roman Blunt said he was talking about Wonder Woman 84. He was like, yeah, that was garbage. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Very disappointing movie compared to the first one. Hopefully they can rebound with the third one. Patty Jenkins coming back. Yeah, thank you for reminding me of Cry Macho because I had forgot that movie. Yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I did not like that movie. And with this worst of list, I try not to really bash movies because it takes hard work to make a movie production. Nobody wants to make a bad movie, and there's a lot of effort that goes into the thing from everybody, from the actors, from the production, from everybody. So put forth your effort. I'm just talking about the quality of things, and I don't try to say this.
Except in rare cases, I try to avoid that as well. Except in very, very rare cases, some of which are going to be on my worst of list.
Okay, but yeah, thank you for reminding me of Cry Macho there, because when we were talking about making the worst of, I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. So thank you for reminding me about that movie.
Hmm.
All right, so for me, I'm up. I'm gonna go with Red Notice. Red Notice just completely feels like a movie made in the algorithm. You know what I mean? It was made by like Don Cheadle from Space Jam: A New Legacy. You know, it just was a movie that hey, let's get some of the biggest stars right now. We're gonna get Ryan Reynolds, we're gonna get The Rock, we're gonna get Gal Gadot, and we're gonna put them in a movie, this heist movie, adventure movie, and it's gonna be this big success. Which turns out it is. It's one of the biggest movies Netflix has ever had. You know, it has this big.
Yeah, dude, their algorithm, it pretty much just counts that little autoplay trailer feature. So I look at that with a grain of salt.
So it's not
Or
like
it's only like if people watch like the first 15 movie.
okay. Yeah, so who knows how heavily skews, because if people were really watching this movie all the way through or what, but yeah, this is just this just doesn't work. I mean, you got a lot of these people who like are gonna. It's mainly a movie being sold of, hey, we got The Rock, we got Gal Gadot, and we got Ryan Reynolds. And Ryan Reynolds, he came out with three movies this
Yeah.
year. All three of which are kind of going to be on my worst of. Just to kind of spoil it
Wait.
here.
Oh right. Oh right. I remembered two of them. I was forgetting by
Yeah,
looking at your list.
it's just Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he says he wants to take a break from acting. I go like, yeah, maybe we just need a break. I mean that's
I
good
don't
for
know.
him.
Maybe you should actually, or you should. I don't know. Act.
And he's it's not like he can't act, because if you watch stuff like The Voices, or
Mm.
Buried, he's very good in those movies, and he really so he it's not like he can, it's just it's kind of resting on, well, people like me being Ryan Reynolds, people like me when I'm Deadpool, you know what I mean, people like when I make these references, and he's kind of playing that character a lot, in a lot of stuff, after the massive success that was Deadpool. And yeah, I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm just kind of tired of it. And
And Gal Gadot is just getting by on her looks like she does with every single movie she's in.
yeah, I mean, she's doing a little bit, kind of a little different stuff of being a little bit mischievous, a little bit of kind of the thief. But yeah, like it's like Gal Gadot, it's like, hey, she's absolutely stunning, and she's got a face for film, and she looks perfect on camera. And
But can she act though?
not really.
No.
She's not the strongest actress. And I'm gonna see her in
Not the
that.
strongest. I wouldn't even say she's good.
Yeah, I don't know. She's not that good. I remember somebody was showing like a commercial she was in. That she was like in an AT&T commercial with the AT&T girl, and somebody said the AT&T girl is lapping circles around Gal Gadot, and she's supposed to be the major movie star.
Yeah, it's like the trailer for Death on the Nile. Sounds like he's reading a cue card for the first time.
Yeah, very, like, how would I compare it? Very like kind of pageantish, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, she's like, yeah. So, yeah, I'm eager to see how
Okay,
she
but
does.
but okay, but enough shitting on Gal Gadot. Let's move on to.
Yeah. So yeah, this movie, yeah, Red Notice, yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's worth anybody's time to go see it. This big budget that it had, it's just spent mainly on the stars. So yeah, yeah, kind of disappointment of a movie. All right, next up with you, man.
My next worst of, it's the biggest disappointment of my entire year. It was Snake Eye. Film that I was looking forward to as a reboot of the G.I. Joe franchise, with two actors that I absolutely love, in Henry Golding and Andrew Koji as Storm Shadow, one of the greatest undiscovered leading men off of the strength of something like Warrior on HBO Max, and he's trying. That is the thing I will say about the cast of this film. Henry Golding, Andrew Koji, and Haruka Abe, they are trying. And this film is actively telling them to go fuck themselves for trying.
Yeah. Would you be interested to see? Because I think this movie flopped. I think technically.
It bombed.
Yeah.
It was a theatrical only when theaters were still only doing like 50% capacity. And it was terribly marketed. It was selling you all on that Snake Eyes outfit that doesn't even appear until the last 30 seconds of the movie, which can we just retire that trope completely in 2022? Can we just do that?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was a waste of good talent. Henry Golding, Andrew Koji. I did kind of like a little bit of the story they were doing, but I think they just fail a lot of stuff in the action, which is the key thing you want to see in a Snake Eyes movie. They couldn't
Yes,
even do that
that
right.
action, which is the key of any kind of martial arts based film, and it's shot like a fucking Bourne film.
Yeah, super close, super tight. Can't really see much what's going on.
It's
Yeah.
more cuts than Liam Neeson trying to hop a fence.
Yeah, that's a real shame that they did that. Who directed this? Snake Eyes.
It was a Robert Schwentke who's directed such fine stuff as Red, Red 2, R.I.P.D., which also had
Oh,
Ryan Reynolds.
ooh, yikes.
Yeah,
Ugh.
that should have been like the big red flag there.
Yeah. All right. So for me, my next pick is Resident Evil. Welcome to Raccoon City. This movie, it was kind of getting looked at as like, hey, we're gonna follow more. We listen to you, listen to you, fans of the series. Yeah, we're gonna try to stick more closer to the original source material of Resident Evil. And you have the characters in here that you all wanted: Jill Valentine and Claire and Chris Redfield and Leon Kennedy. But this doesn't work at all. This first of all, it's incredibly cheap. None of these actors, I don't think, work in their roles. I don't think you even get a good sense of characters or who they are as characters, even if you really had played the video games. I don't think it translates all that well. And what they did with the Leon Kennedy character, don't know why you did that. Don't know why you made him as stupid as you did or bumbling as you did. And it's a movie that is simple but yet somehow kind of overly complicated and just convoluted for a reason,
Mm.
and trying to bring in all these elements from the game, and it's just it's just kind of not good all around there. This is kind of nothing I really all that much liked about it, except for maybe one scene with Chris Redfield. That's it. And yeah, I just thought this was and I'm not even a huge Resident Evil guy. I haven't really gotten a sense of how other Resident Evil people felt about it, or what their
Mm.
kind of impression of it was. But yeah, for me, this was not good. What about you, man?
My next worst of it's the return of the bane of my goddamn existence, Melissa McCarthy with Thunder Force.
Thunder Force, yeah. Netflix film.
This Netflix film starring her, directed by her husband Ben Falcone, which of course you know what you're gonna get with that. You're gonna get probably like 90% improv, 90% Ben Falcone not knowing when to yell the word cut.
Yeah. Her and her husband do not know what make her funny. Like Paul Feig knows what makes Melissa McCarthy funny because we saw her when she was in Spy. He gets it. For some reason, when she's working with her husband, they don't get what makes her funny at all.
Let's be real. We all know who really has the power of that relationship, and we know that Ben might be trying to say, "Hey, maybe we should cut it here," and Melissa is just no.
So you think she just is just like, hey, just point and shoot. You do, you just do that, but let me
Yeah,
continue to do what I
that is
do.
100% what I think.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, she is
I
the big
think the
star.
directed by Ben Falcone is just a courtesy.
Yeah, I mean, she is the big star. Maybe she thinks like maybe everybody's laughing on set, and then they're like, oh yeah, keep rolling, keep going, keep going. This is good. This is good material. But yeah, and I mean it's a shame because Octavia.
Also her character is a terrible friend and an awful person, and yet we're supposed to root for her.
No, and they're real life best friends, but that chemistry does not translate at all on screen because Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer, they're real life best friends. Yeah, so that does not
Yeah, but
translate
instead
at
of
all.
actually showing that, let's have them seal for 3 whole goddamn minutes runtime.
Yeah. Let's have them get because they're fat. Let's have them get into a Lamborghini and struggle to get out and struggle to get in one. And it's like, okay, really, we doing these jokes Like really, it's like okay. Yeah, so that was yeah. I almost feel bad about putting it on my worst of list because that's next up for me as well. It's Thunder Force because it's like, well, it's just like it's a Melissa McCarthy movie. It's like, yeah, it's like what did you kind of expect from this? Her trying to do superhero stuff. It's
It
like, yeah,
yeah, it's insulting because you know what she is in stuff like Spy, and stuff like even Bridesmaids, even something like Can You Ever Forgive Me, which is directed by Mary Herron. She's incredible in that,
mm,
and she settles for doing this bullshit.
yeah. All right. Next up for me, I'm gonna go without remorse. This is the movie with Michael B. Jordan. It's with
Oh,
Amazon
I
Prime.
forgot that movie came out this year.
Yeah, I was like, yeah, what's some other good movies I could put on this list? And I remembered all. Oh, excuse me. I remember without remorse. This was it. Just this was absolutely just boring. I mean, that's really what is just the crime of it. Just so boring, so forgettable. Laura London is a character that just gets fridged. I mean, she's just the wife that dies to give the male character motivation.
Come on, it's based on a Tom Clancy book. That's what they do.
Yeah, it's yeah, it's that classic kind of archetype storytelling that I thought we kind of were trying to move past away from. The action scenes are not thrilling, and we know Michael B. Jordan. We know he can be an action star. I mean, we saw him when he was Killmonger in Black Panther. We know he can be one. He's got the look for it. He's got the personality for it. He's got the skills for it. It's just that this absolutely just waste him completely in a role, and just it's just absolutely boring and so dull to watch, and like I said, completely forgettable, and yeah, it's a real shame that they do that, and yeah, I was expecting something a lot better here action wise. At least the action seems to for those to be kind of exciting, and it's this those aren't even all that good. Yeah, yeah, real shame they kind of waste an action star like him. I hope he gets something a better vehicle to kind of be in there. All right, what's next up for you?
Okay, my next most disappointing thing. No, my next worst of. It's gonna be. We said we were gonna bring this up, Mike Feist again, and it's gonna be Dear.
Hmm.
This film that is an adaptation of the Broadway musical with the role originated by Ben Platt, reprising that same role almost like 9 years later, and looking every bit every bit of 109 as he is trying to pass off as a 17-year-old high schooler.
Hmm.
But I think the worst things about this film is all of the musical numbers that get cut from the film. Well, for one, it's a story of a kid uh, who's uh, who's like a self-help letters to himself. Dear Evan Hansen winds up in the hands of a student that later commits suicide, and the family of said student finds it and thinks that Evan was his best friend, and Evan Hansen goes along with it, psychologically manipulating this family into essentially weaseling his way into their lives and to get close to the guy's sister that he has a crush on. And the worst part about it is the movie, the adaptation, it cuts out every because there are listen back to the musical. There are specific numbers that call out Evan Hansen for how much of a piece of shit he is, and the movie doesn't do any of that. The movie cuts out the most important numbers. It changes the opening number from the point of view of Evan's mom and also Connor's mom into being Waving from a Window, which is a good song, but it doesn't sell. It doesn't make for a good musical. And the number Good for You, which is cut out of the film entirely, is one of the few times that Evan gets called out, and it doesn't. And it doesn't help that the movie is produced by Ben Platt's father. So, of course, there's a lot of nepotism. And we got to show off my special boy.
Is that how he got
Yeah.
to be in the play? Is because his father's a producer?
He was a producer on the play, but I don't think he had the amount of power he had casting then as he does here.
Okay. All right. Next up for me, I'm gonna go with The Woman in the Window. It is a Netflix film. It's with
Oh, another movie I forgot about.
Yeah, so this was with Amy Adams. So this is all about a woman who can't leave her house. She has a phobia. She has anxiety, panic attacks every time she ever attempts to leave her house. It's trying to be Rear Window. That's what it's trying to be. And she like witnesses a murder. Across the street, her neighbors. And it's all about her trying to investigate, trying to figure out how to prove, who the murderers are and everything like that. Um, yeah, I mean, this is like I said, it's trying to be a weak ass Rear Window, Alfred Hitchcock movie.
It's very much a another like a girl, a Rear Window, another house at the end of the street, another girl on the train, another one of those weak ass like wine mom thrillers.
Yeah, and the whole kind of solution to the murder that it doesn't even really kind of make sense. It's like, wait, what? And why was this
Oh,
person doing this?
yeah,
And
it's a thing that doesn't make sense. But I remember watching it when that like third act reveal happened. The film just takes a left turn into batshit insaneville that I wish the film more focused on.
yeah. And then like they try to throw out all these red herrings, like with like Wyatt Russell, and it's like, oh, maybe he like he just completely his character just does a complete 180 in the movie. Going from being like this cool guy who's helping her, all of a sudden now it's like, okay, we gotta make him a suspect, and it's like, okay, this is completely out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, it's like, yeah, this is like this doesn't even really make sense, really. This ending, this conclusion, and movies got to stop doing this thing where they reference better movies in their movie. Like she's watching actually Rear Window, Alfred Hitchcock, and just like in Red Notice, like Ryan Reynolds was whistling the Indiana Jones theme. It's like, bro, stop making me wish I was watching better movies in your movie. Like, what the fuck are you doing? But yeah, that's my other pick. Oh, what about you, man?
Possibly one of my next worst of. Uh, it might be Space Jam 2, a
Mm,
film that is very much the cookie cutter. Why are we even making a sequel to Space Jam? A film that has one of the most egregious rap scenes I've ever seen in a movie. A film that
yeah.
actively made me squirm in my seat. Is like, oh, please let this end.
That may be one of the worst scenes of the year as far as a movie. I swear that may be one of the worst scenes.
Yeah, it's carried by a guy who can't act. Well, at least in this film, he can't act. He's great in stuff like Trainwreck and with LeBron James. A film that it gets so focused on referencing other movies. I'm wondering what the fuck is the point of this film?
Well, you got to sell
And it
HBO
doesn't.
Max. That's the point. HBO Max.
Yes.
Look at all the stuff we
Well, they
got.
could have at least. Well, they could have been more like upfront about it and just literally called it HBO Max and movie.
Yeah, this was just a big long trailer for HBO Max. That's what it was. It with
It's an
LeBron
HBO
in
Max commercial, and a lot of the things that are I think excellently lampshaded in the Matrix Resurrection.
it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when we talked about the movie, we talked about it, and we even talked about the first Space Jam. And I'm not a big fan of the first Space Jam. A good soundtrack, killer soundtrack, one of the best soundtracks ever.
Hmm.
But it's a similar situation where it's like, hey, you get a basketball star, Michael Jordan in the first one, and I think a lot of people's attachment, like a lot of people who were trashing this new one, were in the same age range as people who were there for kids for the first one, who would have cared about this sequel. And it's like, listen, you got nostalgia goggles on for the first one, because you idolized Michael Jordan, you liked the
Yeah,
Looney Tunes when you were a kid. That's what a lot of it was, and
yeah.
it's
Even when I rewatched the first Space Jam, this I could 100% tell. Yeah, there are definite nostalgic going on right now.
yeah, you know what I mean. Michael Jordan wasn't a good actor. I think a little bit. I think LeBron James is a little bit better here. I would say,
Hmm.
but yeah, I mean, this was not. I mean, like I said, it's just one big commercial for, HBO Max. Next up for me, like I said, I'm gonna put another Ryan Reynolds movie. Like I said, I was gonna have three on my worst of list. My next one is Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. So for this one here, it's a sequel to Hitman's Wife's or Hitman's niece, cousin, sister-in-law, Bodyguard. And yeah, I thought the first one was decent enough. I was like, okay, Ryan Reynolds, Samuel L. Jackson. But again, it's Ryan Reynolds doing his Ryan Reynolds stuff. Samuel Jackson doing his Samuel Jackson stuff, going around motherfucker, son of a bitch, that type of thing. Great for Samuel Jackson. I mean, he's like in his 70s now, still coming out with films, still acting, great for him. And also in this film, you got Salma Hayek, who wasn't really my favorite part of the last movie. So now she has more of a major role here. But shout out to Salma Hayek still absolutely gorgeous, stunning. Salma Hayek, fantastic. But I just think it's this like just very annoying, a lot of it. And when it's kind of Ryan Reynolds, like with the one of them, like when it's him or Samuel Jackson or him and Salma Hayek, it kind of works. But overall, it's just like really super annoying. And then for a sequel, it actually looks cheaper than it did in the first one. Like there was a lot of scenes where it just kind of looks really kind of cheap. Like there's some effects with like fire that looks really bad. There's a scene when they're driving past like grass fields, and like those look really bad. Like those look so stock, like Adobe Photoshop in there. I'm like, oh, this looks terrible. Like, what the fuck is this? And it's usually supposed to increase with money if you get a sequel, and it looks actually worse. Antonio Banderas is the villain here. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of just a weak villain. I mean, he doesn't really do anything.
He's just playing Antonio Banderas.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's probably what he's going to be doing in the Uncharted movie when that's going to come up. He's just going to be playing kind of like the kind of European-esque type, villain. That's kind of what he's probably going to be doing here. Yeah, I mean, this is it's not even really good, I think, as a, good action sequel. If you want to just watch some good action scenes, doesn't even work on that element. What about you, man?
My absolute worst movie of the year. It's going to be the feature film debut of one Sia. It's called Music. The Music is the story of an autistic girl played by a non-autistic actor doing like radio levels of autistic face.
Yeah.
It doesn't even become playing a character. It's almost like you're just mocking them. It's like the shit you did in middle school when you were really shitty and you saw bullies like make fun of the special needs kids.
Yeah.
And it's doing that for an hour and a half. And it's just Sia self-aggrandizing. Look at me, autistic. Look how much of a good person I am. Fuck you.
And a lot of people, because like when this movie came out, I didn't see it. But there was some people saying like they also advocate for a lot of bad things in this movie. Like if an autistic person's having like a episode, like don't put all your body weight on them. Like don't actually hold them down and put all your body weight on them. Like a character like Leslie.
Yeah, they advocate for that in this.
Yeah, and they said that's not something you're supposed to do at all.
Yeah, you're not supposed to do that. People die when you do that.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it has Leslie Odom Jr. pissing away from One Night in Miami.
You kind of cut out
the
there.
Magical Mystic. Oh, it's Leslie Odom Jr. Pissing away his obligation to be in this film as the magical, mystical black neighbor.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish I could have seen it because I think I was out the week. Or was I out the week that you all reviewed? No, I think I was there. I think when you and Chase reviewed.
You were there. You just didn't watch it.
Yeah, I didn't watch it. I was busy. I had all these other movies I had to watch. So I was busy. I had a lot on my plate with other movies that I had to check out here. But yeah, I heard a lot about music. Yeah, I heard a lot about it with Sia and everything like that. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if have they done the Razzie nominations yet? Have they done that?
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a lot of those like kind of worst of awards there. For
you know what? Sia should be put in fucking director jail for. She should not be allowed near a fucking film camera.
You didn't like the dance sequences? I heard those were kind of good. You didn't like the music sequences?
The whole point is that this is supposed to be like a love letter of support to the autistic community. So we're gonna have it all in bright colors and flashing lights, and gonna give you a seizure.
Yeah. So
If you want
songs
to
were.
make if you want to make a bunch of music videos, make a bunch of fucking music videos. Stay the fuck out of Hollywood. Know what? Know what? Everybody in this movie deserves cancellation off of this shit. Maddie Ziegler, you were only directed to do what you were told, and there's a very weird relationship between you and Sia. So
Yeah,
get some help, girl.
yeah, because she was
You
the.
got it to be. She got to be in West Side Story.
Oh, she did. Who was she in West Side Story?
Yeah, she was one of the background. She was one of the Jets' girlfriends in that movie. I can't remember which.
Oh, okay. Cause he had been working with her since he's been a little girl. She was in the Chandelier video, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay.
And that really weird one with Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah, yeah, she's in that one. Yeah, with Shia LaBeouf. Yeah. All right. So you're done with your worst stuff, right?
Yeah, that's it for my worst of, unless I think of something while you're going through. Oh, another worst of Tom and Jerry. Just an insult to people who love animation, people who have taste in film, people who this is a very rare thing because I'm very good friends with Nathan Flynn from the Mission Impossible podcast and formerly a critic on oneofus.net. And Tom and Jerry broke him. It broke his mind. After that movie came out, he quit doing critiques for like new release movies. He said, "I can't do this anymore."
Wow. Jeez.
It broke him. And the stuff that he advocates in our group chat would shock you.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's go down to run down my list or kick of worst stuff. So, Space Jam 2, we already covered that. Yeah, I mean, it's just a big trailer for HBO Max. That's what it is. Some of the stuff they do with the Looney Tunes characters kind of works, kind of makes sense a little bit. But overall, it's just a real waste of those characters just to show off, like, hey, we own Game of Thrones, and we own Matrix, and we own, the DC superheroes, and we own this, and we own that.
We own Rick and Morty.
Yeah, Rick and Morty, all the stuff, and it's just throwing them all in here. Next up, Mortal Kombat was on your disappointment list. Yeah, I think a lot of stuff they did. I mean, just watch the cartoon. They did Scorpion's Revenge. That's a lot better. I think they do a lot of stuff better there. Like I said, I already aired my grievances with that. Next up, Reminiscence. Reminiscence was the movie with Hugh Jackman.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this movie, it was like the sci-fi movie that was kind of like this dystopian type future. Well, not dystopian type future, but more like a kind of a Blade Runner type S future where it's, kind of a rundown, a little bit future. And I thought it was, a real kind of flat and boring. Hey, thanks, Chill, for coming by hosting there with one viewer there, man. Thanks, man. How are you? I thought this was a real waste of time to watch. It was it premiered on HBO Max. Hugh Jackman, and with also Rebecca Ferguson, who were really amazing actors. And it was just kind of this lame noir sci-fi story.
I think this is from the same writers as Westworld, a show that was incredible for its first season, and then the next two fumbled the bag hard.
I'm glad I put this movie on my list. I was like, oh yeah, it's like I'll put this on here because this was just such a dull watch. Also, Karen, I struggled to kind of put this on the list because I'm like, it's a poorly made movie just in terms of everything and acting and direction.
It's an intentionally poor made movie, and that's kind of why I'm a little kinder to Karen. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have a great time watching it. Yeah, I would be lying.
That's the thing. I mean, it is very highly entertaining. I don't know if it is trying to be like a parody or if it is trying to be like this, like trying to be earnest. Like, I don't know.
They had the dad of the kid that got tackled by Soho Karen as the trumpet player while they're giving this speech at the very end of the movie.
Yeah, so I just...
And I fact check that. That is that kid's dad.
I heard that. Yeah, that is that kid's dad. If people don't know that story about that came out of that Karen that accused the kid of stealing her phone and everything, and then attacked them and everything like that. And then it turns out like she left her phone in like an Uber or something. So I mean, yeah, I was entertained by it, so I was like, I had a hard time putting this on my list because I'm like, yeah, it's
Yeah, I
bad, but it's entertaining too. So
yeah, yeah, I'm kind of there too. Like if a movie is entertaining, even if it's bad, I can't really be that mad at it.
yeah, so I was kind of like, maybe. Free Guy. Like I said, I was gonna put three Ryan Reynolds movies on the list, and here we are. This is the third one, Free Guy. The whole kind of movie is like, hey, wouldn't it be so cruel if the big company stole from the little guy and didn't give them credit? I'm like, yeah, that would really suck, Disney, if you did that. If the big massive corporation stole from the little guy and didn't give them, yeah, that would really suck. You mean like how Disney does with a lot of these comic book creators that take their stories and then put them in these movies and they don't get any money from it, or the writers that write for
Man,
these movies that don't get a lot of residuals from writing for these movies. Yeah, that would.
shit, man. I actually like Free Guy.
Yeah, I saw some people like it. Yeah, and especially what they do at the end, where it's just kind of like, oh, look at the stuff we own. Just in case you forgot, hey, look, we own this stuff you like and this other stuff you like that we bought.
Okay, one of those moments legitimately made me.
Legitimately made you what?
It made me laugh. One of those moments.
I thought it was like this is. I was like, yeah, I thought this was kind of ridiculous. Also, it's just like I think it's with they try to bring in the Twitch streamers. I think they overly bring them in there and they overly rely on that. Taika Waititi, they suck all the talent out of him. I mean, Jesus Christ, they zapped all the talent out of him in this movie. I mean, because he's a funny guy, funny director, funny writer. But this, he just had nothing. It's like, what the fuck happened to you in this movie? It's just like, I mean, he's awful in this.
Yeah, I'm sure he's crying all the way home.
Oh, you cut out there. What'd you say?
Pretty sure he's crying all the way home to Rita Ora.
Yeah, in a real or have a three-way. Yeah, I mean, this was just I mean, this was just a shame to watch. Tom and Jerry, we already talked about, already mentioned that, and as well as Cry Macho. We already kind of talked about already there. So that rounds out my worst of for 2021 there.